Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight in Wainwright, where a local state of emergency has been issued for the town. A break has been found in the line that supplies the town's water reservoir.
So our levels are down to basically critical levels. We're undertaking measures so that we can maintain / hopefully replenish those levels while the repairs are underway. But what we need to do, obviously, is have people, restrict their water use.
Residents are being asked to limit the length of their showers and to avoid leaving the taps running. Meanwhile, the use of outdoor tap water has been suspended until further notice. Currently, the town is trucking water from the treatment plant to help maintain reservoir levels, and the water is still safe for consumption.
It is still safe to drink. I'm not saying that we won't have to do a boil water advisory later on. That all depends on what Alberta Health Services and Environment require us to do after the repair's done.
There is no word yet on the cause of the line break, but officials anticipate the repairs to be complete by tomorrow afternoon. Well, as of June 30th, 2018, there will be no more funding for non-Catholic Saskatchewan residents attending Catholic schools. This ruling by a Court of Queen's Bench judge in Saskatchewan comes after a 12-year legal battle between the Good Spirit School Division and the Christ the Teacher Catholic Separate School Division. The Saskatchewan Catholic School Boards Association says it will go over the more than 230-page decision and process what that means for the Catholic education in Saskatchewan and for families in the province. The Lloydminster Catholic School Division reacting to the news, saying they're very disappointed. In a statement released today, LCSD says they share the board's inclusionary beliefs and that Catholic school divisions believe that they have the right to decide to admit non-Catholic students. The board is giving serious consideration to an appeal, saying a final decision would be a long way down the road. The City of Lloydminster's interim city manager setting the record straight. According to Rick McDonald's website, his work experience includes a connection to George Cuff and Associates Limited since 1997, the same George Cuff that conducted a governance audit with the City of Lloydminster just last month. In a statement to Newcap News, McDonald says he's worked with George Cuff in the past, but is not currently working for Cuff, nor was he involved in the Lloydminster governance audit report. Prior to his hiring, McDonald served for 20 years as president of J.R. McDonald and Associates Limited, his own management consulting firm. McDonald will serve as the interim city manager in Lloydminster until October. Well, spring is often a dangerous time for wildfires after the winter melt and before plants turn green again, but the recent storm in the region has helped reduce the risk of fire. Dry grass will continue to be a hazard, and Blackfoot Fire Chief Brad Parkinson says it wouldn't take long for the situation to get worse.
It's just with wind and the sun drying stuff up, but we've got lots of moisture out there, so the risk right now is really low. So.
He adds if landowners do want to burn off last year's crops or other debris, they should still exercise extreme caution.
A permit's probably not a bad idea if you phone in, get a permit from the county, but just make sure it's supervised and controlled and so it doesn't get away on you.
Each year, the fire department responds to between 30 and 60 grass fires. A slew of words from the U.S. president over the supply management of Canada's dairy is gaining attention from coast to coast. Dairy producer Andrew Campbell, who was in Lloydminster for AgriVisions 2016, says Canada needs to be prepared for those kinds of remarks going forward.
Unfortunately for Canada, the reality is that he's mentioned dairy, but from the Oval Office, now he's mentioned energy, he's mentioned lumber. Clearly he has a bone to pick. Either with NAFTA or he has supporters that he is trying to appease.
On Thursday, the U.S. president continued his attack on Canada and NAFTA, calling it, quote, a trading disaster. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister, Chrystia Freeland, in a statement said dairy trade between the U.S. and Canada favors the Americans by a massive 5-to-1 ratio. Andrew Campbell, who has a 60-cow dairy operation producing about 2,000 litres a day in Ontario, feels Canada's government will continue to support supply management.
The Canadian government has done very well in recognizing that the system not only provides stability to the producer, but it provides stability to the marketplace, it provides affordability and stability to consumers, and it doesn't require any taxpayer subsidies.
Campbell adds that supply management is always in the crosshairs when trade negotiations are taking place. Well, like in many parts of the country, NHL playoff mania has come to the border city, but fans are not the only ones cheering for teams in the race for the Stanley Cup. Brian Lentz explains.
The Orange Crush has hit Lloydminster, and that means bars like the Canadian Brewhouse are seeing large gains in business.
I mean, Raptors are huge for business. The Blue Jays have always been great, but again, you know, we're a hockey country, and especially with the Oilers making the playoffs and the other Canadian teams, it's helping out quite a bit. We can see anywhere from 10 to 20% increase in sales.
For many fans, it's the energy in the room that draws them out from watching at home.
Everybody here is drunk, and it's fun because everybody gets crazy and really into the game, so you get into the game because everybody else is.
Others come out to represent their team or because they can't afford to watch the games in person.
Most of the time I would stay at home, but every so often you got to come out and make sure that everybody knows that you're still a fan, and come out just to razz a few other guys. So
the tickets are pretty expensive right now, especially at Rogers Place, so I don't know, I can't afford them this year. I'm definitely cheering for the Leafs and Montreal though, so I like the Canadian teams. Yeah. Except Calgary. Except Calgary.
After the Oilers' win last night, it's clear local businesses will continue to ride the Orange Crush for at least a little longer. Brian Lentz, Newcap News.
An art show and sale in Vermilion and the annual Dancing on the Border Festival in Lloydminster are just two events planned for the area this weekend. Heather Clagis has more in this week's What's Happening.
This weekend, the Vermilion Community Art Club is hosting their 7th annual Spring Show and Sale. This year, they're featuring the works of Sandra Miller, but there's going to be lots of other great artists on display there too. You can check it out tomorrow in Vermilion starting at 10 a.m. And some great local talent is going to be on display all weekend long here in Lloydminster on stage at the Vic Juba Community Theatre. It's the Dancing on the Border Festival. It runs Saturday and Sunday. The best local dancers will be showing off their stuff, and you can head out for either day or take in the entire weekend. You can get tickets online, vicjubatheatre.ca. This weekend, we want you to start it off by winning a copy of the Hunter Brothers' new album. It's 5 brothers from Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, and we gotta say thanks to them. They sent Real Country some red lentils from their fields, and we made red lentil soup with it. It was absolutely delicious, and we think you're gonna love this fantastic album that they've got called Getaway. To win a copy, all you have to do is email your name and daytime phone number to tvcontests@newcap.ca. We wanna say thanks to John at Universal Music Canada for setting us up with the music. And make sure you pick up your tickets for next Saturday's fundraising supper and dance that the Manville and District Ag Society is hosting. If you want to get your tickets, you can stop by the village office in Manville. Well, whatever you choose to do this weekend, I hope you have a great one. I'm Heather Clagis, and that's what's happening.
This is Newcap Sports.
With 2 games remaining in their Capital District season, the Lloydminster Red Dogs are in a unique situation. They're the only remaining team without a loss, which means 2 more wins, and a repeat of the Capital District Championship is theirs. But their mettle will be tested this weekend. Lance Phillips explains.
2 wins. It doesn't sound like a lofty goal when your team is into a double-digit winning streak dating back 2 years, but it can be daunting if approached the wrong way. The Red Dogs seem to be doing all the right things, and expectations are high against the Edmonton Mustangs this weekend.
These guys, you know, they're about a middle-of-the-pack team in the league this year, but we played them in the preseason game, and they gave us a run for our money, so I think it'll be good.
Definitely a lot from the run game, just to get those, especially the important first downs, the short yardage, but yeah, that's what I expect.
Because the Red Dogs play every one of their 6 regular season games on the road, pressure from playing in front of their fans doesn't exist. But it doesn't mean the team isn't feeling pressure in other ways.
Yeah, you know, a little bit. It's different with there's no playoffs because, you know, the team at the end of the year with the best record does, you know, just win. So, and if you do end up in a tie, it comes down to points and stuff like that. So you obviously do want to win and win by as much as you can every week. So a little bit, yeah, but I mean, we try to play every game to our full potential, so nothing really new.
I always feel a bit of pressure because we were the undefeated team last year, and going this year, I feel that most teams come in wanting to beat us. Like, of course, the pressure is always there just because you want to knock the title off just to get ahead of the best team.
The Red Dogs have been the best team all season, and maintaining that standing is important to all the players.
definitely having a streak is something to be proud of, something that's great for everyone. It really gets the team going, just winning game after game. It's always a good thing. Yeah.
One of the many areas of strength for the Red Dogs this season has been depth. Having the ability to rotate players in and out of different positions has paid dividends against a league that has yet to figure out how to stop it. And with 17 players out of the lineup for Saturday's game, that depth will be tested and will give those grade 9s that we've talked so much about an opportunity to prove what they're made of. Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports, Lloydminster.